So you bought yourself a brand new sim racing wheel, but you just can't be bothered to clamp it to your desk and actually use it. Perhaps this $100 stand is just what you need. Hello and welcome to another NihongoGamer video. I have gone and purchased one of these super cheap wheel stands, and the main reason is because I'm really into driving and driving games right now. So this is the controller I bought last year. It's a Logitech G29. If you're casually into playing arcade racers or more simulation type racing games, you may have gone and bought yourself one of these controllers. But most of the time, I just can't be bothered to actually use it because you have to clamp it to your desk. And so to actually use this controller, there's actually a few steps that you have to jump through as opposed to picking up a DualSense controller. You know, with a pad controller, you just pick it up, press the button, and you're in the game. But with a sim racing wheel, it's a little bit more involved, right? Because you have to, one, buy some separate equipment. That's going to cost you some money. Then you actually need to clamp this to your desk so that it doesn't actually move around while you're driving. You can't balance a wheel on your lap while you're driving. You have to actually clamp it to something. So you clamp it to your desk, and then if you've got a shifter as well, you need to clamp this to your desk. And then you have to worry about the pedals. So you can't see it on the camera right now, but I've got the pedals down here on the ground. Then you've got to make sure that it doesn't slide over the carpet. So they're like little spikes that come out of the pedals that prevent it from moving away from you as you push on them. If I actually push on the brakes right now, I can actually push myself so hard that I'll actually push myself away from the controller. The whole process is kind of involved, and that is why I've purchased this. So this stand I bought here in Japan for 12,500 yen, and that was roughly $95 at the current exchange rate. And the main reason I purchased it is just to make this whole setup easier, because I already use this desk for other things like editing videos, writing music, drawing pictures, live streaming, recording YouTube videos. I can't always have this wheel in here because I need to have space here for my arcade sticks, or need to be closer to the screen when I'm streaming or playing other types of games. And if you're watching this video, you're probably like me. You don't have a separate room where you can put your sim racing rig. You don't have a separate computer that you can set up just for the game, or a separate PS5 that you can set up just for the game. You need to use that same console and that same computer to do all the stuff that you already do, like work or editing or music or driving or playing fighting games or whatever it is you're doing. So depending on how professional setup you want to go for, something like this can run you like $100, or you can buy a proper setup that will cost you like $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000. You can spend a lot of money making sure that you've got the absolute perfect simulation experience. But really all I want is just to use the bog standard experience where I've got the wheel not moving around so I can drive, and then I can move it out the way when I need to do other stuff. And so for $100, what you get is this pretty heavy metal stand, and when I'm not using it, all I do is slide it out of the way like this, and then when I'm using it again, I slide it back into place like so. When you're just using it like this, it doesn't generally move that much. You can see that it is shaking, but honestly speaking, I found like it wasn't shaking so much that I can't enjoy the game. Now, the second reason that I've purchased this stand is that when I was driving with friends online, I was like turning, and then I realized that the desk that I had chosen, so I wasn't clamped to this desk, I was just clamped to a slightly different desk. The whole desk was like shaking. The whole thing was shaking, and the monitor was shaking, and then actually I turned so hard that I managed to shake my whole monitor, and actually it started changing direction. And so that's something you don't realize before you get into the game, is when you buy a simple controller like this and clamp it to the desk that has your monitor on it, then it will cause everything else on your desk to shake. Now, in terms of the basic features of this stand, it is a heavy-duty metal that you build yourself. When you order it, it gets delivered to your house in metal pieces, and you just bolt the whole thing together. It comes with all the Allen wrenches that you need, but I got a electric drill that has an Allen wrench attachment. You clamp this to here, you clamp your shifter to this part, and then you screw the pedals into the base plate at the bottom, and then you're good to go. And the whole process takes something like 40 to 50 minutes. One thing I will say about the build process is that when I looked at this product online, I could see all of the heavy metal, and I was like, oh god, is this the sort of thing that's going to have like really awkward clamps that are going to like pinch my fingers and cause me like injury while trying to build it? Maybe I should just buy something more expensive. But I was actually really impressed by this, the Dele AP2 racing stand. by how easy it was to actually build it without getting injured. I don't think I hurt myself at all. I just remember building a couple things in the wrong order and having a few things flipped around the wrong way and having to undo that when I finally figured it out. One more feature about this racing stand, the AP2, is that you can also buy a separate attachment which is purpose-built for this particular model, where you can like attach a racing seat and you can bolt it to the stand attachment that you bolt to this. I actually thought this desk chair would be fine because I've got a tilt on this chair, so I can actually recline the back and actually have it angled like this. I'm gonna have a more like racing position, or slightly closer to an actual sports car racing position. But here's the thing. If you've got a desk chair like mine, you can rotate the whole thing back and you can make the chair go up and you can make the chair go down, but you can't go down much further than this. This is where I need to start talking about slight disadvantages when you try to create a hybrid setup of desktop computer with the racing stand and your desk chair. So the first one is related to what I was just talking about. It's the fact that even if you recline your seat back like this, you're not actually much lower, and so you're kind of in the right angle, but you're too high up. What you really want to be is like down here. And so in the end, I just found myself sitting in a normal desk chair seating position and just racing like this. The second thing, if you've got a hybrid setup like this, is that you need to prevent the chair from rolling away if you've got casters on your chair, and most chairs do. At like 80% pressure on the brakes, you're not really pushing yourself too far, but at like 90% you're starting to push yourself on the way, and 100% you literally just go flying away from the wheel. And so the solution to that, you buy 5 of these, you put them under the wheels of your chair, and you prevent the whole chair from moving, which is great, but it means you have to set these up every single time. But now it's like impossible to get out of this thing because I've got a desk over here. I can't go to my right. And when I turn to my left, I like have to like make sure like crawl out of the chair because the shifter is in the way here. So this brings me on to my next disadvantage of this particular racing stand, and it's the fact that this shifter is not movable. You can't like swing it out of place so that you can actually get out easily. So you're just constantly awkwardly getting into the seat. The thing is, you only really need to do it once. If you need to like hit the brakes and go and refill your water bottle or go to the bathroom or something, that's the only time that you need to worry about getting in and out. But here's the next part. It's the fact that this shifter is really low down. Now, in a real car, that is probably where the shifter would be, because you'd be low down here, the wheel would kind of feel up here, and then you'd have your hand ready to grab the shifter like this. But when you're sitting in a desk chair like I am, at a position which is honestly fine for driving, the wheels are in a good place, the pedals are in a good place, my seat's in not a bad place. Here, the thing is, I'm trying to reach the shifter. When I've got my hand on this armrest, it's quite difficult to reach the shifter now. So if I put my hand like this, my hand is literally one hand height a bit too high compared to where I want it to be. I want my hand to be down here, like this. The thing about this mount is that it's set up so it's in a good position if you are in the bucket seat attachment, and I don't have the bucket seat attachment. And so for $100, what you're getting is a really great, easy to play setup in a desk chair, but the shifter will be not ideal. So if you've made it this far, you probably don't mind any of these disadvantages. But that brings me to the next disadvantage, and it's the fact that if you use a wheel stand, you're now not clamped to the desk right in front of your monitor, and so now you're even further away from it. This is as close as I can possibly get to my monitor out there, unless I bring the monitor to the front of my desk. But let's say that you've got stuff here like keyboards or musical keyboards or drinks and controllers and other peripherals. Maybe it's not feasible to bring the monitor any closer. It feels like I'm playing the game in quite a small thumbnail, or it's like someone's holding a smartphone a little bit far away from me and I'm trying to drive like this. I'm still having a good time, but the immersion is definitely lower than if you were right up against the screen and you could actually feel like you were in the game. When it comes to the amount that this stand shakes around, you can see it's not perfectly solid. It does shake around a little bit, but not so much that it was actually causing me to drive poorly or anything. So I'm fine with the amount it shakes. I think if you play rally games, you might be shaking it even more. Maybe that might be a little bit more crucial to have something that doesn't shake around so much, but honestly, for my casual level of racing and just, I just bought GT7 and just having a good time, honestly, I don't feel like that's a problem at all. And that brings me on to my final potential disadvantage to using a heavy wheel stand like this. And it's the fact that when you do want to move it out the way, it is actually really heavy. And so when I shift it like this, I just feel like I'm at risk of injuring my back. Pushing it forward is like so much grip on the little caster, not casters, he's got these little non-slip pads on the base. It's like pushing it doesn't actually move that smoothly, but it is 6 trillion times easier than clamping it onto your desk, and then clamping this onto your desk, and then putting the pedals on the ground and making sure that they don't slip. And then you have to get your chair into the right position. So many things that you think, you know what? Maybe I'll just play fighting games today. But I'll tell you what, since getting this stand, which costs less than $100, all I do is connect all of my peripherals to this. Wheel on the stand, shifter on the stand, pedals bolted to the stand. I just unplug power and I unplug USB and I just wind them up. Put it somewhere on the stand and I'm unplugged from everything and I can just pick this up and go. Considering how much money you can spend on these types of peripherals, upwards of, $1,000 to $3,000 on really nice simulation racing setups, I really feel like at my level right now, don't need to go that far. And I'm really loving the game so much more because I'm actually turning it on and playing it. If you've recently bought a wheel or Gran Turismo 7 or any racing game, I think that this simple $100 stand is probably exactly what you need, not because it's going to make you better at racing, but because you're actually going to turn the game on and actually play it. And I feel like that means it has 100% justified its cheap, sub $100 cost. Chair, out the way, stand, and just like that, everything is set up again for me to type on my keyboard or play games on pad or do a little bit of music. Here's my opinion on the Dele AP2. For sub $100, absolutely worth the money, not as painful to install as I thought it was going to be, and it has absolutely made the whole racing game experience much, much better. But if there is one downside to the product, it's that it makes you realize what you don't have, and then you'll go on the internet probably the day after you've bought it and go, if only I had this as well, and if only I had this as well, and then you're like checking out your basket and you're like, I'm about to spend $800 on racing gear, and that's like day 2. Listen, that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching this video. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you liked what you saw. Be sure to like the video as well. Leave a comment. Do you have one of these cheap metal racing stands? I know there's a large number of other companies that make them, but I'm really happy with the install process and the rigidity of this product that I bought here just online for sub $100. I also play games like Gran Turismo on my live streams on Twitch, so be sure to check out the Twitch stream, and you can also join us on the NihongoGamer Discord, where we're often talking about racing games, gear that you can buy for racing games or fighting games, drawing, and all other sorts of stuff that are related to the channel. So I'll see you in the next NihongoGamer video, where I will have inevitably have spent even more money on more ridiculous sim racing gear.